everybody has to have a reason they're doing what they're doing. This morning, let's look into that with some detail. What is your why? Why do you do what you do? Are you excited about it? Or do you go to work in the morning thinking, why am I doing this? What's your why's importance? It directs us, it guides us more than the money. I want to give you an example of my wife. She's a State Farm agent. Now, she loves life insurance, loves selling life insurance. But when you look at the logical reason she loves to sell life insurance, and she loves to sell it so much, her customers will actually tell her, I am not going to buy life. Don't talk to me anymore about it. But what drives that isn't the commission. What drives that is that when a family has a crisis, the worst time of their life, the loss of a loved one, he has seen over the years of being an agent, the people that don't have insurance coverage, that have the loss of a father, and then the financial considerations that, oh my goodness, we can no longer afford our house. We can no longer afford our car payment. What do we do? And then it multiplies the loss with the financial challenge. So really insurance, and especially life insurance, and these are one of the things you know that policy is going to pay off. One of the few insurance policies that you know is going to come a time where you collect. It may not be you, but your family. But in that time of adversity, in that time of loss, to be able to walk up to that family and hand them a check, it helps overcome those needs. What a feeling that is. That's a driving force. That's her why. It's a great joy to be there in a time of need and adversity to say, I know, I'm sorry for your loss. And I know this won't change that. Here's your life insurance proceeds. That's her why. And it's such a driving force because she's experienced loss in her family. It's nothing that's new to her. And to be there in that time of need. Now, I know that a lot of agents, their clients have losses, and it's not that big a deal. But in her case, I remember one specifically that had a fire, and she got a call that this person had a fire. The interesting part of that is it was the day before we were leaving on vacation, and we had to be up at 3 in the morning to get to the airport and get to the airplane on time to make that. But this loss was 6 o'clock in the evening the night before. Well, she got in her car, drove to the client so she could write them a check for $5,000 of incidentals. See, the loss was total. Where do they stay? She arranged a room in a hotel and gave them $5,000 to go out and buy clothing and things, and maybe find an apartment that they might need. That's her why. And you might say, what does this have to do with the car dealership business, or any business for that matter? You see, the why we do something is so important that we have, in the car business, my why is totally different, but I love to see and help dealerships improve their fixed ops. I love to see the stories of someone that's struggling to pay their bills, and they change their performance, and now all of a sudden they're seeing a life without limits. They're going into management. Their commissions are higher. Their revenue for their family is higher, and they're benefiting from that. That's my why. And I've seen customers where advisors, what is an advisor's why? I would hope that it would be to inform and educate the customer and prevent them from having things go wrong with their car. That could be critical. I use batteries often in these examples, but if you have a customer with a battery that's 5 years old, why wouldn't we recommend a maintenance replacement so they don't have a problem? What if someone was injured and they need to get to the hospital real quick, so they hop in their vehicle and they're ready to go, and they, my gosh, the child's bleeding and there's trouble, and the car won't start. What does that do for you? What does that do for them? Now, I know my wife, again, back to this example of life insurance, I know she was at a funeral of an individual last week that didn't have life insurance. She was offered, but she wanted to wait until she stopped smoking to get a better rate on the amount that would be paid. Obviously, she died of lung cancer and didn't have insurance, so she never quit the smoking. But the fact is, can you imagine if this person wasn't offered the option? How would that make her feel? See, it was the customer's choice. It's the same with the car business. It's the same with service. You see, I don't care that so much that the customer buys or takes advantage of all the offers. And I'm not saying that we don't look at hours per RO or effective labor rates and labor sales per RO, but all of that is just an indication of how well we're doing informing them and educating them of their needs. That's the why. That's the information we need. The numbers, the money, follows that. I know that as far as State Farm agents go, it's wonderful that she has 30% of her clients that own life insurance. How many old batteries do we have out there that we're not even offering? How many wiper blades are peeling that we don't even notice? How many tires are bald or have a nail in them? And if we go too fast and we don't take the time and we don't recommend the brakes, we don't recommend the fluid exchanges, we don't recommend the work that's needed, we don't inform them that they're having a transmission pan that's leaking or a seal that's bad. What are we doing it for? What is our why? Our why has to be important. Our why has to be the driving force that gets us through the day. It might be your why is merely to provide for your family, or to be a good mom, or to be a good dad. I wonder, what is your why? Have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon.
We're going to talk about processes that can bring in additional hundreds of thousands of dollars into your dealership. But I want to explain right away, that's not why we do it. We do it because it's the right way to do business. The money follows that. It's the customer's expectation when they bring a vehicle into your dealership that you're going to look the vehicle over and tell them what it needs to be at peak performance. It's our obligation to inform them and educate them every time, every car. The shocking truth is that the staffs at most dealerships don't even recommend or look for what the customer's needs are. One time I was walking through the shop and I was underneath a vehicle where they were doing a brake job repair. And I noticed that the brake lines were so corroded they were unsafe. So I challenged the technician and I asked them, did the customer decline the brake lines? And I was shocked with his answer. He said that he didn't like that type of work, so he never even recommended it. This is not the way to care for a customer. This is not a way to meet our obligation. Can you imagine if that customer's going down the road, has a panic stop on a brake, and the brake lines failed? What would the responsibility be for your dealership to have never even recommended that? One of my own personal regrets is that we never recommended batteries on just a maintenance replacement. Instead, I would wait until the battery failed and they were towed into the dealership. It was $150 for the vehicle to be towed in. Then we had to have a technician diagnose it, determine it's a battery, and then replace that battery. The customer doesn't understand why it took $350 to replace that battery when Walmart puts it in for 85 bucks. The sad truth is that we failed that customer because we should have recommended it before it failed. Isn't that what preventative maintenance is all about? The mission is to inform and educate the customer every time, every car, what that vehicle needs to be in peak performance. I want to talk to you about an incident that changed my viewpoint on this dramatically. An advisor came up to me one time and asked if I would get involved with an elderly lady sitting in the waiting area. The repairs on her vehicle cost more than the vehicle was worth. So I went in and I explained that she should go over to the used car department, pick something out, and instantly tears welled up in her eyes. And she said, "Can you fix it? Can you fix it?" I said, "Yes, we can repair the vehicle, but it doesn't make financial sense." And she said, "Fix it. Because you see, that was my husband's car, and he passed away last year, and when I drive it, I feel closer to him." She fixed that vehicle because she understood the value of it greater than I did. You see, that changed my view on all of this. All my mission was to tell her what was wrong with the vehicle. You need to establish a culture that says, every time, every car, I'm going to tell the customer what their vehicle needs to be at peak performance. That's the commitment. That is our obligation, to inform and educate. Make that your mission.